Yeah, Tyler, how would you describe maybe the tone of practice thus far? How would you describe it, maybe the physicality for practices thus far throughout the first 5 or so days?
Excited. I think that's the best word to sum it up. Everyone's just happy to be back playing, be back together, have pads on. There's a lot of energy, a lot of excitement.
And where do you feel like you've made some of the biggest leaps in your game from last year, coming back from the lower leg injury to now fully healthy?
I think mentally is the biggest for me. Just to my understanding of the game, just being able to process things faster and just move quicker. I think mentally definitely is where I've improved the most.
Okay, go ahead, Jake Hatch, and then Sean Walker.
Yeah, Tyler, you kind of burst onto the scene last year, obviously, in the 4 games that you played. What's your status right now? You feeling fully healthy after coming back from those injuries?
Yeah, absolutely. Feeling completely healthy. Very happy to be able to play and get out and move the way I want to. So yeah, feeling really good.
And second question for you is this defense this year any different in terms of scheme, et cetera, than it was a year ago, or is it pretty much the same deal?
I would say pretty much the same deal. Of course, there's always going to be minor changes year to year, packages depending on opponents, but it's going to be a lot of similar things to last year.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, Tyler. One of those changes I think that Jake was probably alluding to a little bit is you guys got a new coach who's a little bit, or a new old coach even, but one who's a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, working with you guys and the pass rushers and whatnot in Preston. What's it like kind of moving him up? He's obviously not a new guy, so I'm sure you knew Coach Hadley a little bit coming into this, but what's it like kind of working with him a little bit more, and how's he adapting to that situation?
It's been awesome. Coach Hadley is awesome. Funny enough, he was at Weber State when I was in high school and did a little recruiting there, a couple of years back. So it's awesome. Coach Hadley's a great guy, great coach. He brings a lot of excitement to the room, which is awesome. So it's a lot of fun.
Okay, go ahead, Greg Rubel, then Matt Biamonte.
First up, is that tight haircut a personal thing or a position group deal?
Personal right now, trying to make it a position group. We'll see how that turns out.
And secondly, how do you sum up your abbreviated freshman year, 2020?
Disappointing. Yeah, I would say, it's always hard to go out that way, especially when I felt like I was getting a little bit of momentum. Kind of figuring things out. Yeah, disappointing.
I mean, obviously, there's got to be a great deal of hunger because of how last year ended for 2021.
150%, absolutely. Can't. I mean, we're putting in the work now, but yeah, can't wait to continue putting in the work and showing out on the field when we can. So,
thank you.
Tyler, from your observation, who have been some of the standouts defensively so far through camp?
Oh, defensively. Since camp started, I feel like a lot of guys where we lost so much last year. We lost a lot of guys defensively, a lot of veterans. There's been a lot of guys that are stepping up and have stepped up. Man, there's a couple guys at every single position that I could name, specifically on the D line. It's also tough to say just because we're still trying to figure things out, and but there's almost too many to name. I could really be here all day just talking about everyone, but a lot of guys. So
Thanks.
Norma, go ahead, and let's see who else, and then Jason Shepard.
Hey, Batty, you mentioned that the defense lost a lot of guys from last year. So where do you feel that the the defense stands right now, and what do you guys have to do to be able to catch up to where you were, to make sure that there's no drop off when the season starts?
Yeah, great question. I think where we're sitting right now is we're sitting pretty solid. Realistically, we have enough guys that have returned and played in games that we're sitting good. I would say to kind of catch up to where we were last year is just get guys experience. We have a lot of young guys that's well known, and so pretty much just getting those guys experience, I think, in camp, and then come game time when we can is going to be a big part of just creating more depth on our defense and especially D-line.
We can see the depth on the offensive side of the ball across the board: quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends. Like, they have so much depth. Would you say that the defense has that same amount of depth?
In a large aspect, yeah. A lot of other positions, we have a lot of veterans. It's mostly on the D-line that we have a lot of young guys.
How personal do you guys on the defensive line take the challenge of filling in some of those spots? Because you mentioned the production that was lost. How much of that is a challenge for you guys to live up to what we've seen in the past?
I think we all take it very personally. It's especially for the guys who were here last year, that played alongside Kyrus and Zach and Bracken. They are big shoes to fill. And so I think everyone, even the young guys that didn't play or really don't know those guys, I think everyone takes it very seriously and very personally when it comes time to prep and be ready and fill the role that they need to.
And I realized that, obviously you guys were able to play last year, so there was some normalcy to that, even though it wasn't a normal year. Does this fall camp feel much more normal than last year did, or how much more normal does it feel?
A bit more normal. Last year there was just no one around. It was just very, very closed door. It was just essential people. And so I would say there's a bit more normalcy going into this year. Just having more people around, more people involved. Yeah, it's a cool feeling for me because last year, it was my first fall camp. So it's just exciting, to kind of see the difference.
Did I miss Bryce Noakes or anyone that still needed to ask a question for Tyler? Anybody else that I missed? All right. Hey, Tyler, appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you guys. Have a good one.